I just see an opportunity here in chiropractic to be able to bring together great minds, great practices that do everything through the lens of what can we do to get organized, to get professionalized, to bring together our collective ideas and be able to actually get our product out to the masses where we can take our rightful place in healthcare.
Welcome to the Table Talk podcast, where we get real, meeting with industry professionals and experts in the chiropractic world, talking about the newest and latest, how to scale your practice, the struggles that we all face in practice, and how you can take your practice to the next level. All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I am here with Dr. Justin Brown with Serve Bigger and Friends and Family Spinal Care. And Doc, I am so excited for our conversation to talk about what practice looks like for you and for the things that you're thinking about that are the future of chiropractic and where we need to be going in the realm of moving towards exit strategies and moving towards what it looks like to serve bigger. And so, Doc, welcome to the podcast, and I'm really excited to have this conversation.
I appreciate it, Dr. Kendall. No, this is great. This is awesome to have the opportunity to share with your listeners. And going back to the energy as a student, you mentioned before we jumped on that you were at school with Josh Levine, who's one of our clinic directors. I remember as a student sitting there thinking, man, I'm going to change the world with chiropractic. We're going to light the world on fire, and this is going to be incredible. How do these people not know about this thing that we do that changes and transforms lives and just completely changes the game for generations to come? And as I've been in practice now 20 years, and I think about that, and this has been on my heart for at least 10 years now. But as I look at it, and as we're like building our practice and training and hiring associates and setting them out and doing these things, I'm like, how much has the needle really budged relative to our impact through chiropractic? Are we really shifting our communities? And I think there's like some people that are doing that on a really big level, and in their communities, they're definitely making a difference. And I think collectively we're making a difference. But if I'm honest, in looking at the whole, we really haven't changed the way that chiropractic is perceived, the way it's utilized, and the overarching impact that we're having, not only just in healthcare, but as a strategy towards better living. And so to me, it's like, okay, there's got to be something that's radically different, that something's got to happen that's radically different in order for us to actually be able to make this impact that I know I'm not alone. I mean, I've said this over and over, and chiropractors are like, yeah, like I had the dream to change the world with chiropractic also. But in the end, we're not really doing it.
Right.
So something radically different had to happen. And so that's really part of the genesis behind this collective where we're working together. We're not these solo practices on an island. You're in marketing, right? What's the marketing plan? Shoot from the hip, throw stuff at the wall, and they start all over next month. What's the plan? The plan is to have a good month followed by a good year. Well, what about 5 years from now? What about ultimately? Deer in headlights, no plan. And so for that and so many other reasons, there's just got to be a better way. And so I just see an opportunity here in chiropractic, and what we're focusing on is really an upper cervical chiropractic, to be able to bring together great minds, great practices that do everything through the lens of what can we do to get organized, to get professionalized, to bring together our collective ideas and be able to actually get our product out to the masses where we can take our rightful place in healthcare.
There's a lot that we can sort of dive into there, because I think that is one of the things that, I go back to school and I think about one of the last courses that I had at Life, and one of the teachers asked us, what groups are there in chiropractic? And, you had people yelling out technique groups, and you had people yelling out coaching groups, and people yelling out franchises, and people yelling out this type of chiropractor and that type of chiropractor. And by the time that he was done, he had 2 whiteboards completely full of different names and things. And he said, our profession is not just divided, it is shattered. And I think about that. And I think that as a whole, if you look at dentistry or medicine or anything else for that matter, you don't have that level of division that sometimes we have in this profession. And I think that what you're doing is so unique and so cool, because when chiropractors succeed, the profession wins. And when the profession wins, that's where we get a wholesale buy-in to the things that are working. And so, Doc, I'd love for you to kind of go into the philosophy or maybe the genesis of what the Serve Bigger Collective, how it started, and kind of what it is that you guys do in the collective.
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback on your story. I mean, we're extremely fragmented, which is difficult to really gain any real traction when we are divided, when we're so fragmented, when we're not really unified in vision, in purpose, in practice. And so this is really helping that, to bring that together. And at the same time, part of the reason why we love chiropractic so much is that it allows for that authentic expression of how we want to serve people. So that's a piece of what we're looking at as well, is that we don't want to take any of the freedom away from chiros and give them this ability to practice and express their art in the way that makes sense, but also do it under this like unified collective that allows us to just be a lot more strategic and be a lot smarter about how we go about doing things. And it's really to everybody's benefit. It's to the patient's benefit. It's to the provider's benefit. And it's certainly to the benefit of the collective and the shareholders. So anyhow, the genesis is this, Dr. Kendall. I had an incredible associateship and had a series of mentors. I think anybody successful can really say, hey, like, I give so much of my credit to all my mentors because we've just kind of borrowed and stole from them and put their gifts together and sort of package it in a way that makes sense for us and how we want to practice as a chiropractor. But ultimately, I saw several mentors really have no plan. And the plan that they kind of came up with at the very end of practice didn't work to their advantage. A lot of really successful practices end up in this no man's land where they become almost, they have a practice that's maybe valued, let's say their revenues are $1 million to $1.5 million. And there's just very few buyers for that practice. In fact, sometimes there's no buyers for that practice. Typically, there's no buyers for that practice. So it's a problem. So they become a victim of their own success. And so that's an issue. Or these people that they practice too long, right? We've all seen an athlete, right, that just stays in the game too long. The whole world is like, bro, just retire. It's done. Like, it's good. Like, you don't have to prove yourself. It's over.
Yeah.
And they just stay in the game too long and you just see their value just kind of fall off the table. And so that happens in chiropractic as a rule, not as an exception. So these people end up either, basically dying in practice or the practice dies before they do. And either way is a bad case. And you see people get trapped into their practice. It is our baby in a way. But, I think people need to have a better plan. And that really hasn't been demonstrated well. So I saw mentors go through practice and either practice too long, have zero value, literally lock the doors, shut it down, fire sale the equipment, or just have an unsellable asset, which then just becomes this liability. And it just doesn't make sense. People that have done a great job in their communities and served people for decades and generations of people, and then literally there's no value at the end of the day, just doesn't make any sense. And so we've got to get smarter about how we do this. And we don't need to wait till those retirement years. So in fact, with our model, we're not looking for people that are wanting to like stop practicing. We're actually looking for partners. So we don't have this hostile takeover model. We have this approach that's where we actually partner together. We're able to create a real plan for people that are maybe 5, 10 years, maybe even 15 years away from that point where they go, you know what? I don't know that I won't want to practice in 10 years, but I want to have the option. And it's sad to me to see that chiropractors have to stay in practice because they haven't planned accordingly. Maybe they haven't generated the income that they should have. They haven't been saving. They don't have retirement. They don't have investments in place, or they just stayed inside of this thing until it basically became, really has no value. So we're partnering with people that are able to come in and work with us, and we de-stress the practice. We take a lot of the burdens of the marketing and the financials and legal and the accounting and the bookkeeping, all the things that are really exciting, right? Not exciting stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of de-burden, we de-stress the practice. And what we've seen over and over again is just that the practice it takes off. And so not only are we able to help increase people's income right away, we're able to make it so that people are having fun. And when people are having fun, the energy goes up. When the energy goes up, obviously the productivity goes up. You get more referrals. You're more fulfilled. You're having a lot more fun. You get real vacation. You get real benefits. I mean, there's endless benefits. I feel like I'm selling a bit. I need to do that. But the point is, so many reasons to do this, and this has been demonstrated. You mentioned dental. I mean, this has been demonstrated in dental, in dermatology, in so many other industries. But in Cairo, we've been very, very slow to figure this out. So this has really been developing over the last, I want to say, truly 10 years. I've been coaching chiropractors for 10 years now and have a track record of helping people do better. I love developing people. I love seeing people, rock in practice, but rock in their marriage, rock in their spiritual life, rock in their fitness life, like really just kind of have this holistic, successful life. And I love doing that. But I got to the point where I said, you know what? We want to do this where we're like all really in it. Like everybody has skin in the game and we can grow this thing. And then collectively, I talk about poor valuation. Not only is it that people have a poor valuation, but they have so much of that practice riding 100% on their shoulders, right? And
Yep.
so these practices, if they're a solo practitioner or if they have one doc and maybe an associate, but the associate's not really producing a lot, those are really jobs. Those are not businesses. And people don't want to buy a job. They want to buy a business. So you have this thing that you think maybe is valuable, but it really holds very poor value because of these reasons. By collectively working together, we're able to really change that whole game. And when we start working with institutional investment or family offices, private equity, we're able to bump like a 0.75 to 1.25 of seller's discretionary earnings is kind of the going rate for a practice right now. We can take that, let's call it one multiple on average, and we can bump that to 3, 5, 6, 8, 10x could be possible. And even in PT, I mean, I talk a lot to these people that are in private equity, and there's PTs that are trading at 18x. So there's this massive game changer that happens in valuation when we work with a collective, when there's a portfolio of practices, when there's optimal systems in place, when there's a managed service organization, there's, things have been structured properly. So we've invested heavily on legal to build out all of our structure properly so that we become extremely attractive to that institutional type of investor that could take our collective of 30, 40, 50 practices and take it to 200, 300, or 500 practices and basically become the antithesis of some others that sort of devalue Chiro, whereas this is the preeminent product in chiropractic that truly represents strong, philosophically based chiropractic based on subluxation correction with pre-post measurement, with all the specific foundational chiropractic principles where we empower these families to think differently, to act differently, and have completely different outcomes than the average American families. Getting to your question about the philosophy, we're 100% philosophically driven. We don't shy away from the philosophy. We, in fact, make our philosophy, which is timeless, relevant to people today, and just really empower people through understanding and having this reverence and awe for the innate power within and the devastating effects of subluxation and the critical impact of having you and your family checked for life. So we're very, very strong on that side. And then we're just modern. We just give people what they want. We have some adjunct type of services that really support today's family.
I meet with chiropractors all the time, and some of the things that you said, I mean, about, the energy rising and all of that. I've seen this with chiropractors that sometimes they lose that. I had a mentor that used to call it piss and vinegar, right? That we were full of piss and vinegar, and that when we came out of school, and they lose that. They lose a little bit of that spark. I was talking with my team this morning because, I'm a chiropractor. I'm a chiropractor who does marketing for chiropractors. But when I have team meetings, I don't talk about marketing per se. I talk about the mission and the purpose behind what we do. And I share patient stories, and I share the type of impact that we have when what we do by putting patients in chiropractors' doors, how that's getting people off of drugs and avoiding surgeries and living the life that they want, right? And that could be as big as, someone who says, I'm not going to kill myself because of this, or as small as, yeah, I was able to pick up my grandchild. But like helping people to understand that. And so to your point, like making practice fun again, I think there's a lot of people that get into this, and you get to that 6, 7, 8 year mark, and sometimes that flame starts to kind of dwindle at times if you're not kind of re-dipped or around people or with people that love what you love and do what you do and can come alongside you when you are in that down sort of spot and kind of put their arm around you and say, it's okay, we all go through this, and here's this. I told you selfishly before we started this that part of the reason why I do these podcasts is for me. It's so that I can continue to re-dip myself and talk with people who are as passionate about what we do as I am. And
I love
because
that.
it's like, don't let the bastards get you down, so to speak.
Yeah, I hope you get off this call with a lot more piss and vinegar.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean 100%. I mean proximity is power, right? So super smart, super strategic on your part to be like, man, I need to get around fire. Like if I want to be on fire, I got to get around some fire. And we know that, like even this in the collective, it's just more fun to win together. It's just way more fun. I mean, maybe you've had the experience where your team had like a great month or a great week or something happened, and you're like, we did it. So it's just fun to win with great people. I mean, that's who we're attracting. We're attracting winners. We're attracting people that are kind of thinking outside of the status quo and just have this desire to do something bigger, to actually leave chiropractic different than we found it, and to really gain traction and be able to say, you know what, like, yeah, we did it. We've got 200 offices that are delivering amazing chiropractic care in these markets throughout the US, and that just didn't exist before we came and we brought this. So yeah, it's super exciting. It's inspiring. We definitely find, even just by, through some of our calls, that we're finding that there's like practices that are doing certain things that are just genius. And I'm like, I've never seen this. I've been to every chiropractic event you can imagine. We've been around lots of different leaders, and you name it, between Tony Robbins and Patrick Bet-David and all these other, people even outside of chiropractic, been involved with EO and many, many different groups. And then I'm like, I've never even seen this before. So we're able to kind of take these awesome golden nuggets out of the different practices, and everybody benefits. So something that a practice is doing awesome, let's say in Tampa, now someone in Texas gets to benefit. The patient gets to benefit because of the best practice that we learned out of there. So it's really fun to be able to, bring this group together, this collective together, where everybody's just like, the energy just elevates. And so, yeah, I mean, 100%, it is definitely about mission. It's definitely about putting the patient first. Everything we do really starts with patient care. It's about that patient experience. It's about like deeply understanding and understand that patient and building deep relationships with those people. And that's really the marquee of our entire organization, is relationships. There's a lot of trust that's involved. This is different, because we are combining forces. We do mergers. And so when we do a merger, it's kind of scary, right? Chiropractors are like, I don't want to let go of all my control, right? So that's one of the challenges, right? I don't want to let go of control. I like being my own boss. I like being able to make all my own decisions. And I'm like, I understand completely. And then let's dive into that deeper. So what do you like to control? I like to control how I take care of my people. Perfect. That's exactly what we want you to do. You are the authority. We want you to authentically express yourself as a chiropractor. Perfect. What else do you like to control? I like to control my name of my office. I really like the name of my office. Perfect. Let's keep it. You have a brand reputation that you've built online. You've built a community presence. Just keep that. We're going to keep that right in place. And I'm like, well, let me ask you a couple questions. Do you enjoy payroll? No, I don't enjoy controlling payroll. Okay, cool. Because we're going to take that off you. Do you enjoy marketing? No, I don't. I don't like marketing. I don't want to do that. Okay, cool. Do you enjoy bookkeeping? No, I don't like that. I don't like, I want to, so I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to take that off you. I'm like, do you enjoy legal and compliance? No, I don't like that at all. Okay, I'm like, cool. Do you like CEs? Do you like paying for insurance, your malpractice insurance, your liability insurance, your lease? Do you like having all of that on your shoulders and having full responsibility for that? No, I don't like any of that. Okay, so if we could take that off of you, take that control off of you, and allow you to essentially make more money day one and then have a greater valuation for your practice because you just became part, you actually own percentage of all these practices. So you just literally, the moment we come to an agreement, you just increase the valuation of your practice and you're still practicing and you're managing your team, but you don't have to worry about firing people because you're terrible at firing people because you're a chiropractor and you care about people and you're an empath. So you don't have to do that. And then we can optimize the training in there. We can fully train your people and give them real benefits and put the systems in place to onboard properly, to have real policies in place, to be able to kind of systematize, to make everything run more efficiently and smoothly. Would that sound right to you? And they're like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. And would that make you have more passion for chiropractic and help you enjoy doing what you do more? And then on Friday, when you go home, you literally don't have to answer an email at all. Like you're done. You don't have to think about it. You're out. Or if like one of our docs went to Japan for 2 weeks, his practice was covered. He's in Japan with his family. His practice is going as usual. Like you have real vacation coverage. So there's just all these amazing things we're able to do when we just get more strategic, Dr. Kendall. So it's exciting. If you can't tell, I'm fired up about this.
I love it. And so one of the things that I heard during that, and I want to take this to maybe a little bit different, is you said, if that doc in Tampa does this thing that this doc in Texas doesn't do, right? So I want to take this out of the patient and I want to take this to the practice level. And so my question is, what are the things or the mistakes that you're seeing chiropractors make, especially in the planning towards an exit? Because like I've gone through an exit in a practice and we sold when things were going great. And so we got great valuations for the practice and everything, but there was a lot of strategic steps that we put in place to be able to look at this and say, how do we do this and not lose patients and not change things about the practice? And so I'd love to hear from you, and maybe you've got questions back towards me. What are the things that you think that chiropractors make mistakes with not planning?
All right, Dr. Kendall. I mean, there was about 6 questions in there.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm gonna try to boil that down if possible. So there's a completely different mindset. If you're in that situation where you're thinking about exiting in the next, let's call it 24 months, you got to get your books in order for sure, because most chiros have sloppy books. Not all, but a lot of chiros have really sloppy books. Bookkeeping is, I think for a lot of people, more of a nuisance than something that can be used as a tool. So I think that, getting books in order, making sure your P&Ls are up to date, your balance sheets are up to date, I think is super important. People have, there's a transition, and you probably did this well if you had a good valuation, but the idea is people run their books with tax advantageous strategy in mind versus valuation strategy, and they're opposite of each other. So if you don't have an accounting firm or a team or chiro that knows how to do this and how to kind of shift this transition, then it can get tricky. If you have to explain your books, if you have to talk about your books for 10 minutes to explain them, there's a problem. Okay. Oh, you don't understand. We go to Costco and then there's this flight, and then, we had this, there was a cruise that we did some continuing education. We talked over lunch about whatever. Like if you have to explain all your ad backs and all your stuff, it's going to hurt you. It's not going to help you. It will hurt you. So that would be one piece. And everybody does it. Everybody runs everything through the business. So, I'm not saying you don't do that. I'm not saying to not be tax advantageous and to utilize the tax code to its full extent. I'm just saying you want to be aware of this. Put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, and how is that going to be interpreted? Okay. So essentially, what if to boil that down, chiropractors try to show no profit at the end of the year, where if you're trying to sell, you want to show as much profit at the end of the year. That's a simple way of saying it, right? The other piece of it, I mean, there's so many common errors in chiropractic. I just have a gift with helping chiropractors understand the value of what they do. And so many chiropractors just devalue what we do. And that's just across the board. And so I've been very successful helping chiropractors understand the value of what we do, and then being able to convey it to patients in a way that they go, yeah, that's really that's a great value. That's something that we just kind of do through a structured training. Outside of that, yeah, people just fail to think about team. I mean, a lot of evaluation of your practice is your team. If there's high turnover, if there's some people go, listen, she's worked for me for 15 years, I just can't fire her. And or I pay her for 40 hours, she works 20. Or there's so many different things that you see when you kind of dive deep. And it's a vulnerable position. So I don't really want to say too much, because it's a vulnerable position when people open up their books. It's a really vulnerable position, and I'm grateful when people do it. But in the end, I think chiropractors are so busy just running the practice, trying to manage cases, trying to manage people, that they just don't elevate up above the business to actually evaluate it like a business person. So because they're so busy inside of it, they are missing out on so much profit, and they're leaving so much on the table where they don't understand their business. They really just don't understand what's happening. They don't understand what's happening, what's not happening. Their expenses get out of control. They have things that they're buying and paying for that don't generate any revenue. So they're not making good business decisions because they just haven't had the time to actually step back and evaluate what is really happening, what is directly leading to revenues, what employees are sucking us dry versus maybe undervalued. Maybe you're underpaying some people that maybe leave you to go get another better job that maybe you should have just paid them. So there, I mean, there's so many things I could dive into, Dr. Kendall, but those are some of the things that I've seen commonly. And a lot of it really just comes down to, frankly, it's hard to be good at all these things. Being able to deliver, well, being able to examine somebody and have an incredible relationship and connection with an individual, and specifically analyze that spinal subluxation, and then be able to deliver a very direct, specific force that creates the correction necessary, and then to manage that case over months and years to come, and then to be able to deliver a system that educates them, that drives referrals, that drives loyalty, that creates a raving fan. To do all of that, and then also to completely change your bandwidth and become someone that actually can get up above the business and see what's happening, understand the metrics, understand the accountability, have all the meeting rhythms in place, do all of those things well. It's very difficult, and it's a completely different mindset. And it's very difficult to bounce back and forth and to do all of that well. And that's just in one practice. So to be able to do that across scale is challenging. That's why it's just what we're doing is difficult. It's not easy. And it takes getting to a level where you can hire a lot of people. You can hire business people that know how to do this. You can get the right teams of people that can then serve the practices, that can feed the machine and learn and grow and constantly get metrics and constantly tweak and pivot and be ahead of things and look from a quarter to quarter, month to month basis and make strategic decisions. I mean, all of this, it's a lot, really. It's a lot to take on. So that's why it's often done poorly.
I said to you before we got on here, I said that, one of the things that I see with practices that, even we work with is that, like in my practice, we saw patients 3.5 days a week. And, we have that tendency to be out, doing the things that we love or kick our feet back because we only work 3.5 days a week. But like in my practice, like I was still there Tuesday mornings, at the same time, but I was there when nobody else was there looking at the sort of metrics and looking at the numbers and doing those sort of things. And I think that those sort of things are important to the prep work, the practice time, so to speak, versus, game time, which is in front of patients. It was like, I think you're right, that mindset shift is really, it's really hard to make. We would jam patients in to where it's really high energy, fun, but we were working in the practice and we were working on the practice. And I think that those are things that a lot of chiropractors don't necessarily think about. And that probably goes to a lot of the things that you're saying with why, something like what you guys are doing is so valuable, because that gives people the ability to have some of that more free time back and to be able to, pour into, we have this amazing profession and amazing ability to heal, and we should be able to enjoy our lives while we're doing it at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, chiropractors should be the most abundant people in our communities. We should have free time to be able to serve outside of chiropractic, or or golf. I mean, if you want to be able to go golf, whatever, a couple times a week, then you should be able to do that as a chiropractor. But I think, this idea that, you should, practice till you die, I don't subscribe to that. If that's what you honestly really want, perfect. I respect that. I respect people doing exactly what they authentically want to do. And I think it's good when chiropractors have options. I don't like when people have to practice forever. It's a sad story to me. I like seeing that, chiropractors have made this great contribution. They've served tons of people. They've changed a ton of lives. Hopefully, maybe they've been able to pass it on to other chiropractors and do some mentoring and help pay it forward to others, and then have options. And I think that's a beautiful story. And I think that the other piece of this entire program is that we want to attract and pay the best chiros that are coming out of school. We want to be able to pay them great and reward them for their contribution and attract the cream of the cream out of these chiro schools into our organization, so that they have a great option to practice real chiropractic, to do subluxation correction, to be educating and teaching and empowering these communities, but have an organization that's got it together in a way where we can do that in a sustainable and durable way. And that ultimately is going to be attractive to future chiropractic students. So we got to kind of think, where's the future of chiropractic going? And the way that we grow chiropractic is that we become more abundant and more successful and more attractive to the public. Whether we like it or not, man, you see that woman driving that G-Wagon, and she gets out and she's all fit and she's rocking and bouncing in her office, and she sits down with that 12-year-old girl and helps that girl with her scoliosis. That's attractive to that girl. She's going to be like, hold on. She has this whole thing going on. She's loving her life. She's obviously successful in a financial standpoint. She's very happy. She's fulfilled. And she helped me with my scoliosis. I want to be a chiropractor. So we want to create more abundant, successful chiropractors that are community leaders. And that's what's going to drive chiropractic. So that's the other legacy piece of Serve Bigger Collective, is that we have a system in place because we professionalize, because we have profits that are predictable. We're able to provide really high incomes for people that also have endless upside. That, truth be told, 80% of chiropractors should not be owning a chiropractic office. That's the truth. About 20% of chiropractors should own a chiropractic office. But if you can partner with people and have skin in the game and have equity and all those type of things where you are an owner, but you're resourcing and leveraging people that have done this for a longer period of time, then you're going to be able to close that gap in your success, so you don't have to practice for 50 years. You can practice for 25 years or 15 years if you want to, or practice for 10 years and go start a family and do. So there's all these reasons for this thing, but that's a big piece of what we want to do. Is we wanted to get our act together And you said, we started this thing just talking about how fragmented we are, but we want to create this unity and unify, and in that become extremely attractive to young people, to the high achieving people, to the athletes, to the winners, to the go-getters. We want to be extremely attractive and pull those people into chiropractic school, and then really have a presence inside those chiropractors. I'm at Sherman College next weekend, right? Just continue to be mentor and teach and educate and empower them and excite them about what they're about to dive into, but really attract that. I mean, so a big piece of what I do is I'm in constant recruitment of looking for champions, looking for winners. We had a student in the office this last week. We've got an intern that just finished that we just hired. We've got another intern that's in right now that we're going to be hiring. So it's really kind of getting this whole thing up to a position where the machine continues to attract great chiropractors. We're able to do incredible care for patients inside the offices, and that we're building a real plan for people where they have options, where they can practice because they want to. I mean, what a difference when you practice out of inspiration versus desperation. What a difference from a leverage standpoint, when whether that person starts care or not has zero impact on what's happening in my life. When you can completely detach from the outcome and you can focus solely on serving that person, and you know that you've got the best practices, you've got the best training, you've got the best product, and you package that together in a way that's simple and scalable. Man, I mean, that's the way we change the world with chiropractic.
Man, I love every bit of what you just said, because it is so impactful for where we're headed as a profession. And I think that if we can all continue to love on one another and come together and put the pieces back together, so to speak, I think that we can do big things. And so, Doc, as we wrap up, there's a couple questions that I have for you. So number one, for those of our listeners out there that want to get a hold of you, that want to be able to get in touch to talk about what you guys are doing, what is the best way for them to reach out to you?
This is what I do. This is my sole purpose and work that I do week to week now. So I'm connecting with chiros all week long. And basically, I would ask a series of questions, and I'd even see if this is right for you. I can guarantee you 100% of the people that we talk to leave an initial discussion with some insights that they did not come into the call with. So no matter where you're at in practice, whether you're maybe even a student, maybe brand new in practice, you may even be an associate, or you may be that person that's like, hey, I need to retire yesterday, or maybe 5 years out. Almost no matter where you're at in the business cycle, we would love to have a conversation, discuss what's going on, and provide some insights. So you can connect with me on Facebook and then also on Instagram. So at Dr. Justin Brown. So you can DM me, connect with me, and then we get on a call, and I do these calls all week, and we just connect and see if there's something there, if I can be of value, or if maybe there's a possibility for partnership. And then I can discuss that, what that looks like and our process around that, and talk about our executive team and how you can leverage our financial team and our marketing team, all these people that are just awesome that have kind of come into the collective to support the practices. Emails drbrown@familyspinalcare.com or servebigger@gmail.
Awesome. And Doc, a little bit more of a fun question to end is, what is something, because not everybody has everything figured out, what is something that you're working on right now that you just haven't quite figured out?
There's so many things I haven't figured out. Yeah. The thing I would say right now is we're all about people. So what I'm working on right now is attracting really high level people. So we're looking for an integrator that can really help us on the implementation side of things. That's one piece of it, is really just talent acquisition. And then besides that, we're looking at how we can take our SOPs and all of our systems and really optimize it in a way that is deliverable and trackable and testable. And so that's another piece that we're really working on, so really everything we do is through the lens of scale. Number one is like, is this optimized? And then, secondly, is this something that has been automated if it can be automated? And then, is that been delivered to the entire team? So everything's really about people and communication right now. So we're constantly just, we're leveraging AI, we're leveraging tech, we're talking to developers. So it's fun, man. It's fast forward, but that's what I'm trying to do. And really all that comes down to becoming a better leader. So prioritizing. So how do I boil down my priorities so that I'm keeping my time geared into two or three of the high value activities that are going to kind of drive the needle and move us towards execution on the vision. And so that's really kind of the main thing that I'm focused on right now. And um, ultimately, I know that this will just grow to the level of my leadership. So I'm just constantly up leveling the people that I'm spending time around. I've, got to spend time, around a couple billionaires here recently and become friendly with some people that have done amazing things. Become friends with a gentleman that scaled up to 270 dental practices. So learning about them, and then, two guys that are part of $1 billion insurance roll-ups. Really been fortunate. God just keeps bringing all of these people inside of my orbit to just reinforce that, although this is super challenging and hard and risky and costly and all of those things, it's like, it's worth it. That's why it's worth it, right? If it was easy, anybody would do it. And it's not easy, but, God keeps reinforcing this vision. And, my wife is an incredible support system. So all of that, I'm just trying to become a better dad, trying to become a better dad all the time, and just remember to keep the main thing, and keep my faith at the forefront, and keep my family, I spent the last 48 hours on a plane. So it's like, I really haven't seen my family much this week, but it's like, we're going to dive in, have special time with my family, this upcoming week, where, I get to kind of just take a week with I have 3 daughters. So I get to kind of I'm going to do a lot of golf with my daughter and just become a better dad. So really it just comes down to highest value activities, becoming a better leader, continuing to foster relationships to up level my understanding as we build this big company, and then just keep the main thing. It's like, faith and family.
Amen. Well, for all of you guys out there, reach out to Doc. But Doc, thank you for being here, and we will see you guys on the next episode of Table Talk.
If you enjoyed this episode of Table Talk, a chiropractic podcast, make sure that you subscribe and check out the links below to our free Facebook group with chiropractic marketing secrets, our free resource guides, and the links to all of the guests that we have here on the show and ways to be able to connect with them. Thanks, and God bless.